So, let's just wait for a while, a few minutes more. So, other classmates of ours can still catch up, okay, before we start. Then after our discussion, I will not be consuming the 2 hours naman, of our time. I just put a 2 hours limit to our discussion this morning just to have have ample time for a particular topic na matapos natin, we can finish discussing. So by next week, we can be able to finish this particular topic, and the following Tuesday we can start a new one. So we have so many classes, disruption of classes recently. So we are running against time. So in the interest of our course, we need to rush some topics, So we only have about, how do we have, how many? Just look at my calendar. We only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 sessions to go, and we still have around 3 topics, to close the semester. So I think we just have enough time. So we will proceed for today, even for just an hour and a half. Then we will continue then Monday, Tuesday, then on the 25th, 24th, and 25th, then we can have a summary, summary of our course on December 1 and 2. And I hope you're starting to write, your exit paper, as a partial requirement, ng ating course. And your exit paper would be your final exam. Okay, I will not be giving final exam anymore. We will credit, I will credit, your exit paper, your group's exit paper, as your final exam. Okay, so please start writing it. So every Tuesday in our face-to-face class, we will allot time, for us to discuss, the details of your exit paper, or pag-usapan, or we can talk about how well you are doing, in or your progress in writing your exit paper, because the submission of your exit paper or your group's exit paper will coincide, will coincide with the finals week. So, during the finals week din natin isasubmit, no? The submission of your exit paper is on the finals week, no? So that's from December. Again, I will look at the calendar. That's December 8 to 12, our finals week. So I guess we might set, let's set the last day. Last day for the submission of your exit paper is on December 12, no? Exit paper submission would be December 12, no? I-note nyo na yon. So, I hope you're starting to write it now, okay? So, I'll just note it here. No? Exit paper submission is on or before, on or before December 12, 2025. And December 12 is Friday. It is also the last day, last day of our finals examination. And submit it, submit it by, andun naman, na-post ko naman sa requirements, no? Submit it in soft copy, no? PDF format, PDF format. Para hindi siya, no, gumagalaw. It will not be movable and editable, no? Submit it in PDF format, no? Soft copy in A4, let's put it in A4, okay? A4 ba yung instruction ko, no? So A4, 12 Roman or Arial, and 1.5 ang spacing. Okay? Anyway, hindi naman ito magastos dahil it will not cost you anything, even if it takes us around 20 to 20 pages, because you don't have to print it. Just write it well, write it good. Does not matter if it will take you a long paper, no? So anyway, you will submit it by soft copy naman, okay? So yeah, we are already 30 in the room, no? So after the discussion, please don't leave the room right away. So as I will take our class attendance, I will take the picture as our class attendance after our discussion to give, more time for other classmates of ours to come in, sa klase natin. Okay? So, I will just share my presentation. Wait lang. Ayan. So, class, can you see it? Huh? Can you see the presentation clearly? Huh? Nakikita niyo ba? Okay, yes. Thank you, Georgina. Thank you, Tricia. Okay, sige. So, sige, a few minutes more. No? Yes, Angel, thank you. Sige, let's start in about 2 minutes. Okay? So, habang hinihintay natin yung iba. Then after the discussion, do not leave the classroom yet, ano? So I will take a photo, no, of our attendance for today. Okay, so ready na, class? So can we start? Okay, so for today, no, we will be discussing about global demography and global migration, no? As we can see, no, we will go back again, no, to the basics of globalization, no? As you can always see, no, before another topic will be discussed in our course of contemporary world, we always go back to the principles of globalization because globalization, 'di ba, parang it makes the world as one, no? It integrated, no, the whole world into one world, no? Of course, literally, we only have one world, no? But philosophically, or economically, politically, it integrates, no? It integrates the whole aspect, no, of human lives into a one integrated movements or policies, 'di ba? So it comes from the integration from economics, then it becomes political because of the policies, then cultural because of the advent of technology, no? Nagkaroon ng there happens to be an exchanges, no, of different cultures, even religion, no? And other than that, no, in the advanced development also of technology includes transportation, no, migration or movement of people also becomes part, no, of this contemporary world, of this modern world, no. It is not just goods, no, are being traded, no. It is not just technologies or modern machines are being traded. It is not just culture are being shared, but also people's movement or the movement of people from one place to another also becomes a significant part, no, of this global integration. That's why we will be discussing about global demography and global migration because demography, ano ba ito, ha? Gagalaw. Yan. O sige, for learning outcomes muna natin, ano? So for our discussion, di ba? I hope by the end of our discussion, we will be able to explain the theory, no? The theory of demographic transition, no, as it affects global population. As I was saying, no, though technically speaking, the global population, wherever you are, is just will be a single ano no data, no, kahit nasaan ka man, wherever we are part of the whole global population, but in a demographic sense, di ba, wherein we discuss population in every place, di ba, we are not just talking about birth and death, no, as the ratio or as the factor in determining population in a certain area or in a certain nation or in a certain country or places. We are also looking into, di ba, the aspect of migration, no? Yung people's transfer from one place or another, or settling from one place to another, is also part of the study of global population or demography. Okay, so by the end of the discussion, we were able to understand that factor. Two, can able to analyze, the political, economic, cultural, and social factors underlying global movements of people. These are what are the reasons, while people moves, from one places to another, transfer from one places or to another, or migrate, from one places to another. Then third, display person knowledge of the experience of OFW. I will give this as our quiz. No? I will give number 3 as our quiz in the discussion of this topic. No? Anyway, gagawin natin uli ito group output. So we will maintain the groupings as it is. No? And the next quiz will also be a group quiz. Okay? So, again, as I was saying, class, when we talk about global population, admit lang natin yung iba, okay? We're talking about demography, meaning it is the study of human population, when it comes to their size, composition, and how they became, nag-i-interplay, di ba? Yung birth, fertility, that means birth, and mortality, that is death. And we're not only talking about the birth and the date as the factor, as the factor of population, but in a particular area or in a particular place, kaya nga demographia, meaning we are studying people in different places. Now, we're also talking about migration, or it is the movement of people from one place to another. So in a globalization, or in the context of globalization, or in the modern world, di ba? Of course, scientifically, when we talk about global population, we can simply talk about how many people are living in Earth, in relation to the number of birth, the living, and the number of death, di ba? So, bilang ng mga pinanganak, ng mga nabubuhay ngayon at yung namatay, so we can scientifically, compute, the world's population. And right now, if you can research in the internet, di ba? World's population right now is almost certainly 8 billion. 8 billion already in this one world. But when we're talking about demography, we're not just scientifically computing the number of birth and death in a particular place, but in that particular place, there is also new people arriving, or people living, So in a demographic analysis of a population, we're taking into consideration the mortality, the fertility, yes, we call the birth, mortality, and the death, and also the aspect of migration. And in the contemporary world, di ba, other than birth and death, it is very, very important, di ba, to compute or to see to it, di ba, the aspect of people's movement or migration, Iba yung movement na in Tagalog o kilusan, or yung movement na paggalaw, So we're talking here about the movement of people, meaning the transfer of people from one place to another. Okay? So that's what we call demography or global demography. Okay? So, what is the demographic transition model? May sinasabi sila nito, sa libro natin, So the demographic transition model, and when we're talking about demography, di ba? This is the theory that explains the shift in population growth based on changes in birth, as I was discussing a while ago, and the death rate as societies develop. But also, di ba, other than analyzing, no, the birth and the death rate, di ba, to explain the population growth, no, later on, di ba, in this modern world, of course, they came into consideration the aspect of migration. Migration, immigration, or emigration. We will discuss later on the difference between emigration and immigration. But we are talking about here, what we are talking about here is about the migration or the movement of people from one place to another. Diba? Miski naman nung araw, ano, if you can recall our history, even in our Philippine history, there is already a movement of people, di ba, from one place to another and settling in one place, no, from other place, di ba? It counts with di ba, with the population growth, no, of every society, no? We're talking here of a society or we're talking here about a place, di ba? With regards to demographic growth, no, or demographic population. So again, class, the key word here is birth, the death, and to include the migration or the transfer of people from one place to another and settling, no, in that particular place coming from other places. Okay? So, ganun siya. Ano? So, the stages of demographic transition, di ba? Sabi nga nila, nung araw, no, during the stage 1, during the pre-industrial society, which is before the development of machines, di ba? Before the development of modern technologies, di ba? There was a high birth rate and death rate. And during that time, there was a stable population in one society or in one area. And when we talk about society, we're talking about different communities, di ba? Merging or interacting with one another, and they have their own system and they have their own way of life, di ba? So, during the pre-industrial society, di ba? And we're talking here about demographic, or demography, meaning the birth, the death, and the migration of people in one society, di ba? So that is the population, di ba? The age, the death, sabihin yung plus, minus, and another plus, di ba? The migration of people o yung the arrival of people from other places. That is how we compute population, diba, in a certain society. But during the pre-industrialized society, diba, where movement are still underdeveloped also. Why? Because there is not yet modern transportation. So movement of people from one society to another is very remote pa, no? During the pre-industrialized society. Though meron namang movement na, no? Halimbawa, in the pre-industrial society, di ba, in the modern America, no? Nung before the modern America, di ba? Nung nabuhay ang tao, no? And American people are just living in the East Coast, no? There was a movement also of people going to the West Coast, di ba? So nag-transfer. So mabagal pa 'yon because of the low, no, o mababa pa ang transportation capacity. So during the pre-industrial society, di ba, mayroong high birth rate and high death rate, no? So therefore, malaki ang pinapanganak, malaki din ang namamatay, so stable ang population, and there is no big movements of people also during that time. So because society is still underdeveloped, low income and poverty prevail, so hindi masyadong nagkakaroon ng movement ang mga tao. So the demographic analysis of population growth during that time is only based on birth and death rate. So the population during that time is relatively, population growth is relatively very low. No? Why? Because maaga rin namang namamatay ang mga tao, di ba? Maraming pinapanganak, many birth. Why do you think there are many birth, no, during that time? Because obviously, di ba? There are no modern contraceptives, or there are no modern di ba? Modern family planning control during that time. And during also that time, di ba, very, very prevalent ang mga religious beliefs, no? The, 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 the sacredness of having children. They are not yet thinking during that time about the controlling their family size, because uh, mahirap nga, ano, there low income and poverty prevail. Having a big family during that time, di ba, contributes to the upliftment of your families. Di ba? Mas maraming anak, mas marami ang nakakapagtrabaho. Di ba? And mas many children can be raised and can help in the household works, can live, no, the belief during that time is can live their economic status, no, nakakatulong ito sa pag-unlad ng pamilya, no. But also siyempre mataas din ang death rate dahil nga sa wala pa din naman ganoong kaligtas, no, o what you call poor health program, no? poor health program, and even bad sanitation, di ba? Kaya diseases, di ba? Sickness spreads very, very fast also during that time. Kaya maraming pinapanganak dahil wala namang family planning control. Marami din ang namamatay dahil mahina din naman ang healthcare, di ba? At may mga sakunang nagaganap, may mga bagyo din namang dumadating, di ba? Kaya nagkakaroon ng gutom, and also during that time, di ba, marami ding mga gera o conflict na nagaganap. So parang nag-i-stable, no? Nag-i-stable ang population growth o very low, even na wala nagpa-practice ng family planning, kaya maraming pinapanganak at maraming anak, mas maganda para sa kabuhayan dahil maraming nagtatrabaho. But on the other hand, marami ding namamatay, di ba? Dahil sa mahina ang healthcare, di ba? Mahina ang sanitation, may mga gutom, may mga diseases o pandemic din, ano, na nararanasan during that time, at wala namang mga modern medical, ano, medical practices or modern drugs, kaya marami din ang mamamatay. So, on that note, di ba, yung sinasabi nilang population rate is very, very low. Parang nagko-equal lang. Minsan nga mas marami pang namamatay kaysa sa mga pinapanganak during that time, no? Kasi nga mas maraming namamatay dahil rampant ang sakit, wala pa namang discovery ng mga modern drugs, di ba? Modern sanitation. Kaya pag nagkasakit ang isa, damay-damay. At pag lumala ang sakit ng isa, damay-damay na. Kaya marami din namunoon ang namamatay during that time. So hindi masyadong factor pa ang migration during that time because of low technology. Hindi naman masyado nagmamigrate ang mga tao. Lumilipat-lipat lang sila sa ibang lugar kung saan sila pwede mabuhay. Okay? Now, in the stage 2, diba, in the early industrial society where death rates, no, fall due to ito na, no, nag-improve na ang society, no, kaya meron ng mga modern health program, modern drugs na, gumaganda na ang sanitation, so bumaba na ang death rate. Pero, di ba, birth rate remains high dahil naniniwala pa din ang mga tao sa mga religious teachings ng sanctity of the life, di ba? At wala pa din namang proper family planning methods during that time. Kaya in the early industrial stage, medyo lumaki ang population growth. Di ba? Kasi marami pa ding pinapanganak at medyo kumukonti na ang namamatay dahil sa medyo modern na ang mga gamot, di ba? Medyo gumaganda na ang pag-aalaga sa katawan, di ba? Maayos na ang mga kapaligiran. Kagaya nung una, na kahit simpleng sanitation nga ay problema saan tinatapon ng mga waste ng tao, eh nitong early industrial society, medyo nare-regulate na, di ba? Ang management ng sanitation. So, on that note, population boom, di ba? Medyo tumaas, no? And of course, during the early industrial society, nagkaroon na din talaga ng mga simula na ang started the people's movement from one place to another. Nagsimula na. Okay? So that's the stage 2 of the demographic transition. Dito pumasok na ang, di ba, movement of people in the early industrial society. No? Yung mga nakatira sa probinsya o nasa remote areas, di ba, started flocking, no, to the urban or to the starting urban centers, and they look for jobs. So on that note, the population growth on that urban center or on that particular center increases, di ba? With a high rate of birth, with a low rate of death, and the starting movement of people going to that particular place because of the industrial development. So, lumalaki na ang population ng isang society. Okay? Next comes the mature industrial society. Bakit? Sabi nila, dito naman ang population growth slows. Why? Because during the much advanced, no, industrial society, di ba, birth rate begins to fall. Why? Because medyo may nade-develop ng mga simple birth control system, and of course education, urbanization plays also a vital role, di ba, in the development of the mentality of the people. Di ba, gaya nga nung previous discussions natin, when we are talking about hegemonization, di ba? One religious belief sometimes tends to be not that what you call that, yung hindi na masyadong napapractice. So the teachings of religious about the sanctity of life, about having more children, no, begins to decline, no? So na medyo nag-aaral na ang tao, no, medyo kumbaga na-modernize na ang tao. And with the invention of some early contraceptions, di ba? And take into consideration, class, in stage 2, no, na medyo nababawasan na din ang pagkamatay, di ba? Kaya medyo nag-i-stabilize, di ba? Nung stage 2, tuloy-tuloy ang panganganak, nababawasan ang pagkamatay dahil sa modern development, then meron ng movement, nagkakaroon ng population growth. Ngayon sa stage 3, medyo, di ba, nare-regulate na ang birth dahil sa education, urbanization, and starts of contraception. Then, bababa pa din ang pagkamatay, then steady lang ang migration, di ba? Kaya medyo nag-i-stabilize, di ba, ang population ng isang society in the stage 3. Now comes, di ba, post-industrial society. Ito, medyo nasa modern world na tayo, no? So low birth na, of course, develop na lalo ang knowledge natin about family planning with modern contraceptions, di ba? of course, bumababa na din ang rate ng death because of the modern healthcare program, di ba? So, nag-i-stable, no? Nag-i-stable ang population and slowly nagkakaroon ng declining in population in relation to birth and death. No? Parang hindi na dumadami, hindi na rin dumadami na mamatay, so parang nag-aano na siya, no? Nagba-balance. So the only factor that can be considered in a demographic population study is the migration of people. Diba? So ganun na, no? Doon na siya pumupunta. So doon na nagiging important, diba, ang role ng migration in the post-industrial society. Okay, kasi nag-equilibrium na, no? Yung birth rate at yung death rate, no? Okay, parang nag-slow na or nag-stable na ang population growth in relation to birth and death. Diba? So ano na lang ang factor in relation to population growth in a certain society? Now comes the aspect of migration. Okay? And in the stage 5, no? Ito na, the modern world na ngayon, 'di ba? Sa kasalukuyan, 'di ba? Birth rates fall below replacement level and death rates also fall. O di lalo na ngayon, 'di ba? Meron na tayong choice, 'di ba? Hindi na lang ito simpleng it is not only as simple as family planning, but people or couple also sometimes have their choice, di ba? Isang anak lang, tama na ang isa, tama na ang dalawa. So kahit sa pagpapalano ng kanilang pamilya, hindi na lamang dahil sa contraception, but also it becomes also their future plan. So because education expands, di ba? Nagpo-promote na ng self-discipline, and people tend to reject the old norms, no? Yun na, no? Para may preferences na. Couples have their own preferences. Isa lang anak namin, gusto ko dalawa lang, etc., etc., na kahit na merong silang kabuhayan o magandang buhay o kahit mahirap, di ba, ay pinaplano na nila not on the contraception level but also on their preferences. Di ba? So ayaw na natin. So meron din yung iba naman, dine-delay na yung pag-aasawa, di ba? At dahil minsan delayed ng pag-aasawa, hindi na rin talaga magkakaanak ng marami. So on that note, tapos inaalagaan na ang sarili, medyo humahaba na ang lifespan ng mga tao dahil sa mga modern healthcare. So decline in population na, di ba, ang nangyayari, di ba, in relation to birth and death. Di ba? Halimbawa, yan, sample data natin, di ba? Aging population na ang Japan, which is 28% na ng kanilang population ay matatanda. In Italy, 23%, Finland, Portugal at 22%, and even China, 12%, and South Korea at 15% of their population, di ba, are already in the old age. Kasi nga, tumatagal ang buhay dahil sa modern health, modern society, and bumabagal ang birth rate, di ba? Dahil din sa modern society, may mga modern belief, di ba? Modern self-discipline, at mayroon mga iba nagpaplano na rin ang gusto nilang buhay, di ba? Halimbawa kayo, minsan naman nag-iisip din naman kayo pag ako'y mag-aasawa o magtatayo ng pamilya, di ba? Siguro dalawa lang anak namin, siguro tatlo lang. Fix na 'yon. Di ba parang pinaplano mo na 'yon at the moment na magtatayo ka ng pamilya, you will only contribute to mga tatlong tao lang sa mundong ito. Di ba? At kung yung tatlong 'yon, titigil ka na at 'yon. Habang tumatagal, di ba sabi ko nga, tumatanda yun, tumatanda tayo ng tumatanda, yun yung sinasabi natin, di ba? Nagfo-fall yung ating population growth dahil hindi na tayo nadadagdagan even in the passing of time. At pag tinignan mo siya ng malakihan, if we will to look at it globally or internationally, di ba? That is what the trend is happening right now. And with the data, sabi nga natin, some people or some society like Japan, di ba? Almost 30% or 1/3 of their population are already in the, di ba, aging population na. Kasi nga, hindi na rin nagdadagdag ng mga bagong henerasyon. So ano na ngayon ang aspect ng demographic population on that note, di ba? Yung migration na. So dumadami pa rin ang tao sa Japan, hindi dahil sa kanilang birth rate or death rate factor, but the aspect of migration or the movement of people from one place to another. Okay, so we just want to understand, di ba, the stages of demographic transition wherein in relation to birth rate and death rate, di ba, tumataas, nag-stabilize at this point in time, medyo slow na siya, no? Especially in many countries of the world because of this controlled birth rate and also controlled death rate. So the population is slowly going down, no? O the population rate is slowly going down. Yung pagdami ng tao ay bumababa at it affects, di ba, nagiging aging population na din dahil konti ang nadadagdag na bata, dumadami ang nagme-maintain ng mga may edad. And the factor is the modern development. Okay? Kuha nyo class, ha? So just feel free to type any questions or any clarification you want to clarify in our discussion. So parang ganyan, ano? So nung nakakita ako ng graph, di ba? The demographic transition model, di ba? Eh mapapansin mo nung unang panahon, nung stage 1, di ba? Birth rate ay unti-unting tumataas habang mataas ang death rate, pero later on as time develops, di ba, birth rate ay tumataas, death rate ay bumababa, and later on parehas na silang bumababa. So that's the graphic explanation of the aging society. So saan na lang nagpa-factor ang population growth at nakakadagdag ng population growth in every society? It is the migration, the movement of people from one place to another. Okay, so kaya makita mo, no? So tumataas, bumababa, pinapanganak, namamatay, nag-stabilize ang isang society, pero dumadami pa rin ang tao sa lugar na ito. Hindi na dahil sa pinapanganak at namamatay, kung hindi may mga nadadagdag na bagong tao galing sa, di ba, ibang lugar. O sa Pilipinas, di ba? Tayo, basically, dumadami pa ang ating population rate, not on the merit of migration, but on the merit of birth rate and death rate. No? Mas marami pa din, mas madami pa rin pinapanganak sa Pilipinas kaysa sa namamatay at kukunti naman ang nagmamigrate papuntang Pilipinas. Pero marami na din, marami na ang nagmamigrate o nag-e-emigrate palabas ng Pilipinas. O mamaya we will talk about that, the aspect of OFWs natin or the aspect of Filipino migrant workers, di ba? Halos libo-libo, no, ang lumalabas ng ating bansa buwan-buwan o almost million Pilipinos ang lumalabas ng bansa, di ba? Taon-taon, di ba? Dahil sa mamaya pag-usapan natin ano ang dahilan. But even that migration of Filipino workers going out of the country is still not enough, di ba? Our population still grows because of the fast rate of birth control and the slow rate of death in our country. What is important, class, in discussing this transition model is we will be able to understand, di ba, the relationship between birth and death rate, growth or small, di ba, in the development of a society. And in this modern society right now is parang nag-deadlock na or nag-equal na, di ba? Ang slow death rate and ang slow birth rate, di ba? That is why the world and many countries in the world are now experiencing an aging population. So the only aspect of that matters now in the growth of their, or the demographic growth, di ba, of their society is the migration of people from one place to another. Okay? So, ano ang criticism, di ba, sa ganitong model of analysis? Di ba? Sabi nga nila, Eurocentric model. Again, it assumes all countries follow the European path. Kasi yung analysis of modern development is based from the pre-industrial, di ba? Industrial up to the modern world are all based in Europe. Kasi doon naman talaga mas nagkaroon ng development of society. But what the critics wants to say about it assumes all countries follow the European path, because there are places, of course, even here in the Asian region, itong sa region natin, di ba? Meron din namang ibang galawan ng culture dito. Di ba? Like for Japan, for example, in Japan, di ba? Mas malaki ang pagpapahalaga, di ba, ng mga mamamayan doon sa kanilang mga elders. Even in Korea, no? So they really took care of their elders, di ba? Kaya lumalakas, dumadami o nagtatagal. May mga ganung factor yung ating culture. Di ba? Number 2, it ignores migration impact. Yan. Yun nga, no? Yung demographic model, lagi lang naman kinukwenta, di ba? Yung birth and death rate, di ba? Pero dapat nga makwenta talaga, di ba? At sa pag-aaral nga ng growth, no? Population growth ng isang society, we should always look into, at lalo na ngayon sa modern world, we must always look into the migration factor, di ba? Lumalaki ang population ng isang lugar, hindi na lang dahil sa birth and death ratio, kung hindi sa migration aspect, di ba? And of course, hindi nakita, no? Hindi rin daw nakita, no? ng demographic transition model na ito, yung mga policies, no? na in-implement ng mga iba't ibang society or government, no? when it comes to birth and death rate. Bakit? Why it slows? Why it trickles down? Because there are some consideration like government intervention, di ba, on their birth rate policies. Like in China, di ba, in the early 70s, they introduces the one-child policy. Di ba? Dahil malaki na ang populasyon ng China during that time, no? Halos sila yata ang unang bansa na umabot sa 1 billion ang population. Di ba? So nagpatupad sila ng one-child policy. So ang haba din ng epekto niyan, and until now, di ba? Yung mga those generations who were affected by that policy still practices, di ba? That same policy of one-child policy in China. So it has a factor, di ba? In their slow birth rate, di ba? And also another example is the forced sterilization in India in the 1970s. Di ba? Merong program ang gobyerno sa India noong 1970 na inuobliga, no? na magpa-steril ang mga babae para nga hindi manganak. And also during that time, di ba? India also is one of the biggest population, di ba? in the whole world. No? Second sila sa China. So China implements the one-child policy. India implements the forced sterilization policy naman. But unlike China and India, di ba, in Thailand, di ba, nagkaroon naman sila ng parang access to contraception. Di ba? Parang libre at malaya ang contraception. Di ba? So it adds factor also to the slow rate of population in Thailand. No? Libre ang contraception, malaya ang lahat, very educated ang lahat. So doon nagkaroon talaga doon ng slow rate of population growth because nagkaroon ng choice ang mga tao. And of course, sabi nga natin sa stage 4 and 5, nagkaroon na din naman ng education ng mga tao. So, napagpaplanuhan na nila ang kanilang sarili. So, again, sabi din nila, ang isang critic ay it assumes linear progression. Some countries may regress due to conflict or diseases. So, dapat daw tingnan din ang pagkwenta ng pagbaba o pagbilis ng population growth ay hindi naman yan simpleng tumaas, nag-modernize, kung hindi, marami din talagang namamatay bunga ng mga conflict. Like in Africa, many deaths cannot be attributed to poor health system, but it can be attributed to diseases and conflict, mga gera, mga patayan, Maraming ganyan ang mga hundreds, thousands ang namamatay in a daily basis, not just because of the poor health program, but because of diseases and conflict. So yan yung kanilang mga dapat daw tinignan, di ba? Ng demographic transition model, not just on the aspect of death rate and birth rate. Sabi ko nga kanina, in the modern world, ayan, dapat tignan, di ba? May mga policies na ipinatutupad rin ng gobyerno to control the birth rate and even to control death rate, di ba? And sometimes, di ba, hindi lang din naman death and birth ay dahil sa mga policies at dahil sa mga modern development, kung hindi, meron din talagang mga pangyayari na hindi natin maiwasan, gaya ng mga gera, di ba? Like, for example, in Gaza, di ba? Gaza, the Palestinian population is almost about 2 million plus, di ba? O kita nyo naman, in a span of 1 year, di ba? Ditong gera, almost 60,000 na ang namamatay. Di ba? Ganun kalaki ang nabawas due to conflict. At sigurado ako, di ba, mababa ang birth rate ngayon sa Gaza o sa Palestinian society ngayon dahil sino pa nga ba ang makakapagpanganak o kaya mo pa bang gumawa ng bata in the middle of war. Kaya tatagal at tatagal pa yan. So I think also the Palestinian people or the Palestinian society will also suffer an aging population. Baka nga hindi na rin nga nag-aging, di ba, ang mga Palestinian dahil marami na rin na namamatay sa kanila due to, I think, diseases and also conflicts. Okay? So lang naman nating makita itong model na ito, paano nito sinusuri, di ba, ang mga paglaki, pagliit, di ba, ng populasyon ng isang bansa at meron nga siyang kritisismo, di ba? May kritisismo nga ang mga analyst sa model na ito, which is written in our book, di ba, na masyadong European-based, hindi nila nakita at tingin ko, ito na ngayon ang dapat makita, di ba, yung factor ng migration, of course, policies of nations, and dapat natignan na din yung iba pang factors. Halimbawa, migration, ay tingin ko, baka sa Gaza, after the war, baka kukunti na ang tao doon dahil marami na sigurong aalis dahil sa natatakot sa continuing conflict na nilikhak dito gera. Okay? So, the global impact of the transition, para makita natin to, di ba? Countries in different stages faces different issues. Yan, halimbawa, yun na, sa stage 3, stage 2 and 3, during the early to mature industrial society, di ba? Sabi nga natin, nagkaroon ng overpopulation, merong youth unemployment. Kasi nga, hindi pa masyadong nagmo-modernize, pero naniniwala pa ang tao, di ba, sa practices ng maraming pamilya. It is only until, di ba, the development of modern technology na medyo umatras na ang tao sa paniniwalang kailangan natin ng malaking pamilya. So during the early stages of 4 and 5, in the modern world, ito naman na yung dahil doon, nagsiship ngayon, di ba? Nagkaroon na ng mga pagbabago. So aging population na, di ba? At ngayon, di ba, nagkakaroon na nga ng halos labor shortages sa ibang lugar. Kaya nga mapapansin nyo, di ba? Lalo na sa northern part ng Canada, di ba? Nananawagan nga sila ng mga migrants doon, di ba? Na doon na kayo lumipat, doon na kayo magtrabaho. And even in New Zealand, di ba? Marami na meron ng open invitation, di ba? Na lumipat na kayo dito at dito na kayo manirahan kasi nga nangyayari na yung aging population sa kanila. Pero hindi naman tayo doon nagpupunta, di ba? Ang pinupuntahan ng karamihan sa ating mga mamamayan is we go to where? Middle East, di ba? Hong Kong, Singapore, not for, di ba? Not for skills employment, but for elementary employment, di ba? Medyo yung mga maliliit na trabaho like domestic work, di ba? Pero hindi naman talaga yung skilled work na ino-offer sa Canada, sa Australia, and even in New Zealand. No? So, another impact also about this transition is it helps policymakers plan for housing, healthcare, and education. Kasi sa mga ganitong paglaki o pag-slow ng population growth, di ba? Ang mga policies, no, na supposed to be i-develop, no, ng mga governments, in that existing society ay may kinalalaman siyempre sa pabahay, healthcare, and education, because pag dumadami tao, di ba, kailangan mo ng maraming bahay, kailangan mo ng maraming healthcare program, di ba, maraming mag-aaral kasi pag diyan na yan titira, diyan na rin yan manganganak, di ba, at pag nanganak yan, diyan na rin yan mag-aaral. At I guess marami kayong mga kakilala na ganyan, di ba? Na lumipat na, nag-migrate na, doon na nag-aaral, doon na doon na nanindirahan. So yan ang global impact talaga ng transition, and more importantly, at this stage nga ng modern world, di ba? That movement is what we call migration of people. Okay? So in the study of demography, we're not just studying the growth, no, of a population of a certain society based on, diba, birth and death rate, but we can also look into different factors, ano, in relation to the growth of a certain population, of the growth of a population in a certain society because of those many considerations, like, yeah, of course, diseases, conflicts, and more importantly, the migration of people. Ito na yung malaking factor ngayon na nagpapalaki o nagpapaliit, diba, ng population ng isang lugar. Okay? So let's just talk about some theory about population, which tingin ko nga medyo hindi na ito tama ngayon. No? But of course, ito yung prevalent theory, no, about the rise of population, di ba, in relation to food production, di ba? Yung the Malthusian theory of population. Siguro mababasa nyo ito at nakalagay ito sa libro natin. No? You just need to pass by this, di ba? What is the Malthusian theory of population? Because it derives from Thomas Malthus, di ba? Thomas Malthus is an English cleric, and a scholar who published in 1798. Kung mapapansin nyo, class, ano? It was in 1798, way back, di ba? In the pre-industrial time pa, no? An essay on the principles of population. Parang siya yung nagbigay ng pag-aaral o panimulang pag-aaral how a population grows, di ba, in relation to, di ba, survival of the people. Di ba? Ang sabi niya sa kanyang theory, di ba, population growth is geometrically proportional while food production is arithmetically proportional. Anong ibig sabihin pag geometrically proportional? Ibig sabihin parang mas nagmumultiply ng madami ang population growth. Tama naman, di ba, nung unang stage, di ba? Siguro hindi pa naman talaga napag-aaralan ni Thomas Malthus noong 1798, di ba? wala pa siyang vision o hindi pa niya matanaw ngayong 2028, di ba? Parang, di ba? 3017, 18, 19, 20, di ba? Parang ilan ba? 300 years later, di ba? Hindi niya siguro napoforesee na ganun kabilis, di ba? Nag-develop ang society because sabi niya, ang population growth ay geometrically proportional. Ibig sabihin, nagdodoble, nagtitriple ang panganganak ng tao. Bakit? Kung babalikan ninyo, if we will go back to the stages of development, of course, ang laki talaga ng population growth during that time. Because anong factor ang wala at meron during that time na bakit geometrically ang paglaki ng population, ibig sabihin nagtitriple, nagdodoble ang laki ng populasyon o nagdodoble o nagtitriple ang laki ng population. So during the stage 1 and 2, anong meron at anong wala? Ano, di ba? Wala namang contraception at ang paniniwala noon ay mas marami kang pamilya, mas marami ka talagang tutulong para mabuhay ang iyong lipunan. Mas maraming nagtatrabaho, di ba? Mas maraming kikita, mas maraming makakaangat sa buhay. Kaya parang mas maraming tao o mas marami kang anak during that time ay may makakatulong sa iyo. Tama naman siya. And of course, food production is arithmetically proportional. Ibig sabihin, ito parang 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3. Ganun lang ito, parang additional lang ito. Kaya mas mabagal ang food production, sabi niya, kaya pag mas mabilis ang population at mabagal ang food production, magli-lead ito sa, di ba, sabi niya, sa food shortages. Tama din naman siya during that time. Bakit mabagal ang food production? Wala pa namang modern production system during that time, di ba? Pag nagtanim ka, maghihintay ka ng ganitong panahon bago ka makaani, di ba? At by the time na aani ka, after 6 months, na triple na, doble na ang populasyon ng tao. Tama rin naman siya during that time. No? Kaya sabi niya, mabilis ang paglaki ng bilang ng tao, mabagal ang pag-produce ng pagkain. So this will, di ba, eventually leads to food shortages. O, di ba? Kaya gano'n naman ang kanyang theory, which is, tingin ko, on my opinion, di ba, during that time in the 1700s at na pagpasok ng early 1800s, it can be construed as true. Di ba? Kasi may mga bilib pa nga ang tao na maraming population, mas maganda sa kabuhayan mo o sa kabuhayan ng iyong pamilya. But on the other hand, in the absence of modern technology pa, during that time, di ba, ay masasabi mo nga mabagal din ang production ng pagkain at pangangailangan ng tao. So, equals food shortages nga naman. Tama naman siya, tingin ko, in the early 1800s. But what Malthus fails to see or to project, di ba? At kung makikita lang sana ni Malthus, ang modern society ngayon, talagang masasabi natin, kabaliktaran na nga ang nangyari. Di ba? Malthus, ang population growth ngayon ay hindi na nga geometrically, kundi very, very controlled na nga. While production in the modern technology ay nagdoble na nagdoble. Nabaliktad na nga. Diba? Ang theory ni Malthus in the early 1800s ay nabaliktad na ngayong 21st century. Diba? Pero sige, balikan lang natin si Malthus. No? Sabi nga niya, sa ganitong theory, ang proposal niya may positive check and a preventive check. So yan daw ang solusyon? So Malthus says in a positive check or the natural check, di ba? Sabi niya, hayaan natin ang natural forces, di ba, will correct the disparity in the form of natural disaster and man-made conflicts such as war and starvation. Medyo ano pa si Malthus dito, no? Medyo ano ba ang tawag niyo diyan, di ba? Mako-correct lang daw 'yan, no, sa natural na pangyayari. Mamamatay ang tao dahil maraming disaster, mamamatay ang tao dahil sa gera, mamamatay ang tao sa gutom. So magbabalanse ang population sa food production. Parang hindi yata maganda, no? Parang walang concept si Malthus during that time ng disaster preparedness, di ba? Gaya nitong mga nangyari nitong nakalipas na linggo sa atin, ano? Sa dalawang sunod na bagyo, di ba? We prevent death, no? We prevent disaster by being prepared, di ba? To disaster. Kay Malthus, hindi, natural lang yan. Hayaan mo mangyari yan para maging dahilan ng pagbaba ng population. Hayaan mo ang gera, hayaan mo ang gutom, nakakabawa siya ng population. Yun ang kanyang isang theory. Another theory is the preventive check naman, ano, para daw ma-resolve yung imbalance na yun. Preventive measures such as family planning, late marriages, and celibacy. So, kontrolin natin ang pamilya, di ba? Late na tayo mag-asawa at huwag tayo masyado talaga. Kaya celibacy, huwag tayong magsiping o let's not do what a married couple should do. Kaya lang po, pwede ba yun? Di ba? Po, pwede bang ganung bagay ang nangyayari? So even Malthus' proposal in checking the imbalance, no, of population and food production, di ba? Siguro during that time, we just need to understand, no, the prevailing condition during the 1800s. But if we were to apply that in the 21st century, medyo absurd na, di ba? Ang Malthusian theory of population growth. Kaya nga medyo hindi na siya masyado tinatakel, pero maganda lang alam nyo, at least diyan nagsimula yung study about population growth. Okay? So, what did Malthus fail to see? O ito, dagdag ko na to, di ba? Titingin ko, I think Malthus failed to see, of course, during that time, in the early 1800s, siguro hindi pa nga nila talaga ma-project, di ba? What would happen, di ba? On that, in the future, di ba? Hindi nila makita, no? Miski naman tayo. Pero siguro sa advent of fast-moving technology, alam na natin na all those impossibles ay magiging posible na, di ba? Sabi nga nila sa isang kanta ay wala nang imposible, di ba? Kahit na ang elepante ay mapapasayaw mo sa ibabaw ng aspili. Di nga nila. So what did Malthus fail to see? Di ba? One is the rise of technological developments and innovation. Of course, di ba? Hindi ka na lang talaga naghihintay, di ba, ng 6 na buwan para mag-ani. Actually, harvesting now can be fast-tracked, di ba? With the modern agricultural technology, with the modern fertilizer, di ba? With the modern breed, di ba? Mga magagandang buto, magagandang punla, di ba? Give rises to advanced food production. Di ba? Di ba? Yun yung isa. Number 2, global trade. Itong hindi siguro na-visualize pa ni Malthus in the 1800, di ba? Minsan, ngayon nga, di ba? People can trade goods and services for food. Pwede ka nga magtrabaho, di ba? Tatrabaho ka nga, no? Kapalit ng mga pagkain. Minsan tayo, nakikipag-trade tayo sa ibang bansa, kapalit ang ganito, kapalit ang asukal, kapalit ang gatas, di ba? Which added to your volume of food, di ba? Sa iyong bansa. Di ba? Nag-e-export tayo ng asukal papuntang Amerika. So the American people do not need to wait for 6 months to harvest their sugar cane. They will just import sugar from the Philippines. Kaya nakakadagdag yun ng kanilang asukal, ng kanilang pangangailangan para sa kanilang bansa. Di ba? So number 3, growth rates are not consistent in the development of the world. Diba? Ito na nga yung sinabi ko. So yung geometrical formula ng birth rate, di ba? At growth rate na sinasabi ni Malthus ay hindi na totoo ngayon. Kasi ang tao ay nagkokontrol na ng sarili. Di ba? At ang pag-unlad ng bawat bansa ay napakabilis na ngayon na kaya na nga niya talagang supplyan, no, ang pangangailangan ng tao. So yung birth rate, food production ratio na sinasabi ni Malthus na mas mabilis ang birth rate versus food production na magbubunga ng food shortage ay hindi na nga totoo ngayon. So yan ang kanyang mga hindi agad nakita sa kanyang pagsusuri. And to give you a data on that, ito na ang capacity to produce, di ba, ng tao. And I got this data from the Food and Agricultural Office ng United Nations in 2012 pa. Wala lang akong makitang bagong data sa ngayon. Ayan nga, oh. Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola Company can produce 1.9 billion liters of cola per day. Biro mo yan? O sa loob ng isang linggo, di ba? Kaya niya na mag-produce ng almost 10 billion liters of Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola a day. Liter. Enough. No? Enough to drink, di ba? Ng almost 8 billion population sa buong mundo. So linggo-linggo, kung ipamimigay lang ng libre, di ba, ng Coca-Cola, if Coca-Cola will only to give free, di ba, Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola to the world, di ba, every week, di ba, people can drink soft drinks, di ba, 1 liter of soft drinks every week, because that is already, di ba, the capacity of food production of the world. Di ba? How many liters Coca-Cola is consumed every year in the world? Around 130 billion liters. Yeah, ganun na ang capacity natin to produce food. No? And this is only one part of the food or beverages. Di ba? That's how modern world transforms right now. Di ba? And another thing, di ba ito, na-share ko na ito sa early discussion natin about progress. Na, right now, di ba, in 1995, di ba, trillions of metric tons, di ba, can be produced, di ba, in an overflowing capacity. Yeah. Milled rice, meat, fish, sugar, corn, di ba? I gathered this in the US Department of Agriculture data, di ba? Ganito na kalaki ang production ng tao. Enough to feed the whole 8.2 billion population. So medyo na-debunk na yung Malthusian theory of population growth vis-a-vis food production, di ba? Sa advent nitong globalization and modern technology, diba? Na-debunk na yung Malthusian theory na yon, diba? So yan yung sinasabi natin, what Malthus failed to see, diba? Number one talaga, tingin ko, ang hindi niya nakita, I guess, hindi pa nga naman nila kaya talaga ma-foresee on that period is the rise of technological development and innovations for food production. And also global trade, because you can trade food for others. So if you can trade food for others, di ba? So nakakadagdag ito ng iyong volume ng pagkain mo, di ba? And of course, the growth rates ay hindi naman consistent dahil meron na rin talaga mga modern methods, di ba? So yeah, so I just like to give you some data. Coca-Cola produces 1.9 billion liters per day. Combine niya ng Coke and Pepsi, ha? Do you imagine that was in 2012? Siguro lalo na ngayon. Maybe they can produce 2 billion liters a day. Do you imagine in a population of 8 billion, diba, it will only take 4 days, diba, for everybody. Diba? If that will be given for free, diba, it will only take 4 days, diba, for everyone to drink, diba, 1 liter of Coke, diba? And could you just imagine, diba, class, no? Drinking a liter of Coke every week. Diba? Siguro naman, ubis na tayo. But anyway, just to show you the production capacity of this world, diba? And also, yan, no? Marami na din mga tonelada, metric tons of food that can be produced of the world, and I think just enough to feed the 8.2 billion. But the question lagi lang naman bakit kayang-kaya na pala ng mundo i-produce ang pangangailangan ng tao. Pero again, madami pa din mahihirap. Siguro naman napag-usapan na natin yan. No? globalization also breeds inequality. Okay? So, any question, class, before we go to migration as the primary factor also of demographic study? Okay, so any question, class? So para mas maintindihan lang naman natin muna, di ba? Any question? Meron bang i-chat para sa understanding lang muna ng global no? Demographic study? No? But the important thing, basta the important thing here, class, is when you're studying the population rate right now, di ba, in this modern world, di ba, hindi na lang ito birth rate and death rate. No? Kasi dati, ganun lang. Ngayon, taking into consideration na talaga yung factor ng global migration, the movement of one people to another. No, we just discussed the Malthusian theory para mas makita lang natin na during that time sa analysis ni Malthus na, di ba, dahil geometrical daw ang birth rate, na parang nagdodoble, nagtitriple ang panganganak, pero arithmetically, ibig sabihin mabagal o 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 lang ang food production, which is very, very true during the 17th era or 1800. O nga naman kasi wala namang population, wala namang birth control nung araw at nakarely lang naman talaga sa nature ang production ng pagkain, talaga namang ma-overshadow, di ba, ng population ang food production. But sabi nga natin, in the modern times, nabaliktad na yan. Mas kinokontrol na ng tao ang population growth through different methods, through different government policies, and through also different events like famine, diseases, and war, which is not good, of course, but also number two, meron ng great capacity, di ba? Ang ating mundo, di ba, na mag-produce ng pangangailangan ng tao dahil sa advancement ng modern technology. Ayan, as I have given the samples, di ba, yan nga ang data, and I just like to, natutuwa lang ako dito sa data ito ng Coke and Pepsi na may kayang-kaya pala nilang painumin na ang mundo ng soft drinks araw-araw kung gugustuhin lang nila. Okay? So now, let's go to global migration. So ito nga, no? So kung controlled na ang birth rate and death rate dahil sa modern technology, modern system na ng pangangalaga ng tao sa kanilang panganganak, kalusugan, kaya therefore nakaka-apekto na sa kanilang kamatayan, tumatagal na ang buhay ng tao at nire-regulate na ang pag-aanak ng tao. Sabi nga natin, nag-i-slow ang global population growth at minsan nga ay parang nag-i-stagnant na. Pero dahil tumatagal na ang namamatay, pero medyo consistent lang ang panganganak, at yan ang ngayon ang paliwanag bakit nag-grow pa din ang population ng buong mundo. But when we talk about population growth on a certain society o sa isang particular na lugar o isang bansa o sa isang lipunan, di ba? Hindi na lamang o it is not just about the birth and the death rate, but we will also take in consideration the migration of people. And when we talk about migration, yeah, it is specific, especially on human, it is the movement by individual, from one place then onto the next because of specific components and expectation to settling permanently or temporarily in a new vicinity. So when we talk about migration, di ba, it is the movement of people or a group of people, pwedeng individual or a group of people, di ba, na wants to transfer, di ba, to other places, either permanently, settling there permanently or temporarily. And it is because of many components, di ba, many reasons, and also due to many expectations. Diba? May mga dahilan bakit ka lilipat or may mga expectation ka sa iyong paglipat. Hindi naman necessaryong masama ang dahilan pero gusto mo lang lumipat dahil meron kang ini-expect na something different or something significant might happen to you or to your family, kaya nga group mismo. That's why you migrate or you transfer, di ba? Either permanently or temporarily in a new vicinity. Ibig sabihin sa bagong lugar. Di ba? Medyo temporary or permanent. Lilipat ka na or lumipat ka lang dahil meron kang dahilan o meron kang ini-expect. That's what migration is all about. Okay? So, both migration, di ba, is or movement of people pertains to physical relocation of individuals or group of people. So when you talk about migration or movement of people, di ba? Ito yung paglipat, no? Ng physical, no? Physical. Ibig sabihin ikaw mismo, no? Lumipat ka, no? Sa lugar na 'yon, no? So when you talk about migration and movement of people, ito simple. Parang gusto lang natin i-differentiate. When we talk about migration, it is a change of residence that involves a complete and more permanent change and readjustment of community affiliation. Ito, lilipat ka na. Diba? Lilipat ka na. Doon na ako maninirahan. Diba? Kaya meron na itong pagka-permanente, kaya mag-a-adjust ka na, diba? Sa bago mong kalalagyan. At marami tayo niyan. I guess some of you has families or relatives that already migrated. Diba? Kaya when we talk about migrated or use the word nag-migrate na or already migrated, diba? To a certain place, diba? It is more of a permanent change o adjustment na, diba? Sa kanilang community affiliation. So wala na sila dito. And some even politically, di ba, changes their citizenship. Yung iba nga hindi na Pilipino. Pero alam natin, Pilipino, they are Filipinos by blood or by roots. Pero dahil permanent na kanilang migration, hindi na nga sila Pilipino, kung hindi, inadapt na rin nila. Di ba? Kaya ngayon kanilang readjustment of community affiliations, inadapt na rin nila even the culture, the law, and of course, the citizenship of that place. Eh siguro, marami naman kayong ganyan, no? Marami kayong kakilalang ganyan na mga mag-anak, kaibigan natin. Number two, a smaller or a shortened version of migration is the movement. So yung movement naman, a change of residence while retaining the same old job, social relationship, and community ties, more temporarily and short distance. Actually, yung short distance naman, hindi naman ang ibig sabihin lang naman ito, yung movement, parang lumipat ka lang. Di ba? Parang dito ka lang nag-aral, pero you still maintain your, di ba? Your same status. We have that. A good example of that is one of our classmates here, no? Nakita ko siya, present siya dito. Yes, Carmelinda, no? Carmelinda is a good sample of movement of people. But I guess our classmate here, Carmelinda, is not yet thinking about migrating here in the Philippines. And I guess, if you want to migrate, baka naman reconsider mo ang Pilipinas. But one of our classmates is just practicing migration, but only on the movement case because she is here temporarily to study radio technology, and I guess after finishing her study here, she will go back, diba, to Timor-Leste to practice whatever she learned, diba, from here in our country. So that is what you call just movement of people. Yung paggalaw lang o pag-transfer lang niya. So she is here on a temporary basis because she will still maintain, di ba, his roots, and she is only here just to study. Okay, so that's the difference between migration and movement of people. So there are two concepts of migration, but basically, migration and movement of people pertains to physical relocation. Our classmate Melinda is staying here physically. Diba? So, parehas lang, pero mas permanent ang migration, temporary ang movement of people. Okay, I hope you understand the difference of the two. Now, when it comes to migration, there are two concepts. No? Mamaya, we will talk about international, and later on, we will talk about internal. Okay? So let's go back to international migration. There are two kinds of international migration. Diba? One is the emigration, and the other two is the immigration. So what's the difference? Diba, yan nakalagay dyan, pero in simple term, ang emigration, ikaw ay lalabas. Diba? So moving out of a country or moving out of one place, diba? Leaving own country with the intent to settle permanently abroad, aalis ka na sa Pilipinas. So you will immigrate. Immigration is the act of coming in naman, permanently na pouring ka. So moving to a country. So moving in ito. Kaya nga pagdating mo sa, pag nag-abroad ka, di ba, mayroong immigration kang dadaanan. Kasi check nila yung pagpasok mo. No? So immigration, yung pag-alis natin, yung immigration, pagpasok mo sa kabila. So one is moving out, immigration is moving in, moving to a country. So I will emigrate from the Philippines to immigrate in the United States. Ganun, ha? So ako'y lalabas ng Pilipinas at ako'y maninirahan sa Amerika. So I'm emigrating from the Philippines. I'm moving out from the Philippines and I will immigrate, di ba, to the United States. Doon ako papasok. Okay, so you emigrate from your home country while you immigrate to another country. Simple, ha? Tingnan natin yan. So some of you might be thinking or might be planning when you graduated sa RT, I will emigrate to where? To Japan. Diba? Doon na ako titira. No? Alis na ako Pilipinas. And when you reach, you will immigrate to Japan, so I will transfer to Japan. Doon ko ipapractice at doon na ako permanently maninirahan o doon na ako, di ba? Mag-aasawa, magtatayo ng pamilya, etc., etc., etc. Or isasama ko pamilya ko, doon na kami mabubuhay. So the whole family will emigrate from the Philippines and we will migrate to Japan. Okay, so ganun lang, ha. So ganun ang difference of the two. Okay? So still catching up with me, class? Ha? Puro yan, marami kayong ganyang mga samples, ano? And next is the internal migration. Ito medyo may ikli lang naman ito, no? Pag sinabi natin internal, dito lang ito sa loob natin, ano? Halimbawa, sample of that is residential mobility. So the change of residence within the same national boundary, usually, di ba? Yan naman yung mga galing ka lang ng San Mateo, di ba? Mga taga San Mateo tayo, di ba? Lumipat lang tayo. Dito na ako ngayon nakatira sa Cubao. Pero sila nanay, nandiyan pa sa San Mateo. Ako, nag-internal migration lang ako, nagkaroon lang ako ng residential mobility. Di ba? Lumipat lang ako ng Cubao. Doon ako nakatira ngayon, doon ako nag-aaral, doon ako nagtatrabaho, nandiyan ang asawa ko, pero ako ay taga San Mateo pa din. Diba? So nandito lang tayo sa national boundary, diba? Nasa Rizal nga lang tayo, nasa Metro Manila nga lang tayo. No? But nandito lang ako. Okay? Number 2 is the migration stream. It consists of migrants who depart from a common area of origin and arrive at a common area of destination but the same province. Ito naman mas maramihan. Ito napapansin nyo ito siguro sa inyong communities. Mapapansin nyo ito. Gaya ng ginawa ko, galing ako San Mateo. Pumunta lang ako ng Cubao. Ako, galing akong Ilocos, di ba? Galing akong Ilocos. Pumunta lang ako ng Maynila. Dito ako tumira sa, bari lang sa Cubao. Nandiyan kami sa Cubao. Anong ibig sabihin ng migration stream, di ba? Later on, siguro ito mapapansin nyo, di ba? Yung ibang mga kababayan ko, ay andyan na rin, di ba? Tumira na din dito, nagsama-sama na kami sa isang lugar, hanggang itong lugar na ito ay puro mga kababayan ko na ang nakatira. Di ba? Dumami na ng dumami ng dumami. So, common area of destination coming from the same province or coming from the same place. Di ba? Kaya may mga taga dyan sa sitio na yan, marami dyan mga Ilocano. Di ba? Sa sityong ito, mga Bisaya, etc., etc., etc. Not to be discriminatory on that aspect, but ganun nga ang nangyayari. Di ba? Nagkakaroon ng migration stream from an individual, now comes a group. Di ba? Settling from another place. Di ba? From one place to another na. Then, migration by stage, diba? Internal. It is a series of less drastic movement from village to a city. O ito naman, unti-unti. Diba? So, stages of migration. From San Mateo, pumunta ng Cubao. From Cubao, ayun, nag-abroad na. Diba? So, parang gano'n. So, parang stages ng paglipat. Ginagawa mo lang stage yung pag-alis mo sa probinsya. Pumunta ka sa syudad, pero hindi naman talaga sa syudad ang target mo, kung hindi mag-aral, gaya nyo, mag-aral, umunlad, at mula dyan sa syudad na yan, hindi pa yan ang target ko. Diba? Lalabas pa ako. Or lilipat pa ako ng ibang syudad. See that? Diba? Parang naging stages ka lang internally. And number 4, migration interval. It is the time references of the migration process. Meron kang target. In 5 years' time, in 4 years' time, ako ay aalis dito, ako ay lilipat dito. Pero mas more internal pa naman yan. We're just talking of here of one place to another, but on the same now. This way, hindi ka naman umaalis ng Pilipinas. Umaalis ka lang from your place, going here, going there. Halimbawa, a good example of that, isang kakilala ko na taga-Tondo. Of course, I don't want to be discriminatory, pero sabi niya, ayoko lumaki mga anak ko sa Tondo, di ba, dahil magugulo, etc., etc. Siyempre, sinasabihan ko naman siya. Of course, I'm telling him na, pare, hindi naman totoo yan. Mga mababait pa rin tao. Sabi niya, hindi pare, so, I'm planning to, sabi niya, pag maganda na buhay ko, ayos na, aalisin ko na ang pamilya ko sa Tondo, lilipat ako sa Quezon City o sa Makati. Mas maayos dyan. Sabi ko, pares din yun. Hindi, dyan muna ako. Dyan ko na palalakihin ang anak ko sa Quezon City. Diba? And from there, bahala na sila magsimula. Diba? Kung saan naman nila gusto pumunta after maalis ko na sila sa Tondo. So you can see there the concept of internal migration, di ba? From a residential mobility, di ba? Then pumasok siya dun sa migration stage na gusto lang niyang umalis from Tondo to Quezon City for whatever reason he has. Then pumasok siya dun sa migration interval na dito lang naman ang target ko. Then from here, bahala na ang anak ko kung saan pa ang gusto nilang pumunta. But my only goal is for my family to be uplifted, diba, from Tondo to Quezon City. May ganun lang siyang perception. And that's the concept of internal migration. Ang kaibahan ng international naman, o ito yung aalis ka na permanently ng bansa at ikaw naman ay maninirahan na, diba, sa ibang bansa. So that's the international migration and this is the internal migration. Okay? Another point is in the internal migration is the gross, parang itong ano po, is the gross migration. O, in the sum of arrival and departure in a given area. So ito nga yung sinasabi ko, nakakadagdag ito sa pagdami ng tao, diba? Sa isang particular na lugar. Diba? Stream movement refers to a group of migrants who come from common areas of origin and go to a common area of destination at a certain period of time. Ito wala ito kinaibahan kanina dito sa sinasabi nating migration stream or stream movement. Ang kaibahan lang na again ng migration and movement, kaya gusto ko lang makita ninyo kasi meron talagang, di ba? Sabi nga natin, may mga magkakalugar na dito na naninirahan. Pero dahil movement, may mga kalugar namang dyan lang muna tumira pero kaalis din naman. Di ba? At a certain period of time. Di ba? Kasi hindi naman doon talaga ang target niya. Siya ay tumira lang dito, nanirahan sila dito para lang mag-aral. Pero after makapag-aral, sila din naman ay lilipat na. Pero wala silang plano manirahan dyan. That is a stream movement. The difference between stream movement and migration stream. So, at least nadi-differentiate nyo lang between migration and movement. Okay? Another factor of internal migration is forced migration. O ito naman dahil sa mga pangyayari, events, and emergencies brought about by war, ethnic cleansing, pandemic, and etc. etc. Ito naman yung pag-forced migration, ibig sabihin na uuobligang lumipat, no? Dahil magulo. Ayaw nang manirahan doon dahil magulo. Magulo dahil may gera, magulo dahil mayroong away ng mga lahi diyan. Umiiwas ka na. Pangalawa, umalis ka na diyan dahil hindi magandang mabuhay diyan dahil marami diyang mga sakit. Usually, di ba? War and ethnic conflicts contributes to forced or internal migration. Alis ka ng Marawi, for example, umalis ka ng Marawi dahil ang gulo doon o ng panahon ng gera, lumipat ka sa ibang bayan na mas ligtas. Pero kahit naman yan within Mindanao pa din. Okay, that's forced migration. Or may sakit. Ayaw ko nang tumira sa lugar na ito dahil may sakit dito, hindi gumagaling ang mga tao dito. Maybe because of poor sanitation, so you decide to migrate. You leave that place and you transfer permanently to a new place. Okay? So that's forced migration. Okay? So, factors of global migration. So ano mga dahilan? Bakit umaalis, di ba? Ang tao sa isang lugar at pupunta sa ibang lugar. One is economic migration. Of course, yan, marami sa atin ang ganyan ang pananaw. No? Marami akong estudyante na lalo sa nursing student, by a simple question of bakit gusto mo mag-nurse, di ba? Lagi lang naman sagot ay, sir, maganda ang offer ng nurse sa ibang bansa. So you're looking for greener pasture, which is totoo naman. Why? Siyempre nakakalungkot, no? It's very sad, di ba? Our country cannot provide, di ba? Decent work, di ba? Or stable life here in our country. So people, or most of you, malamang, most of you also are thinking of moving outside the Philippines or to migrate in other parts of the country, in other parts of the world, di ba? To find better employment and to follow your particular career path. Kasi wala akong pag-asa dito sa Pilipinas. That's a very sad reason, factors that contributes to our migration, diba? Economic migration. Okay. Number two is social migration. When you talk about social migration, one of the reasons is moving somewhere for a better quality of life or to be closer to a family or friends. So you migrate, you transfer yourself Because why? Andun ang kapatid mo, di ba? Nandoon ang kaibigan mo. At sabi ng kaibigan mo, maganda mabuhay daw, so gusto mong sumunod sa kanya. Okay? So that's one of the reason why people migrate from one place to another. Sabi niya, maganda ang buhay dito. O, sumunod ka. O dahil naniniwala ka naman sa kaibigan mo, so gusto mong sumunod at doon mag-practice ng profession mo sa lugar na pinalalagyan niya. And usually, kaibigan, kamag-anak yan, di ba? At mga kakilala mo na nandoon ang buhay. Actually, one of my classmates also, di ba, just recently left for Ireland. She is also a nurse here. No? Wala pa siyang asawa. Medyo may edad na siya. No? Mas bata lang sa akin ng konti. Sabi naman niya sa akin, pare, sabi ko, ba't pupunta ka pa ng Ireland? Ganda naman ng trabaho mo rito, nag-iisa ka naman. Sabi, yun nga pare ang kailangan, sabi niya. Because my parents, my mother, kasi patay na yung tatay, my mother and my two sisters are already in Ireland. Doon sila nagtatrabaho. And resident na sila doon. So nag-iisa naman ako, wala akong asawa, sabi niya. Kaya susunod na lang ako doon kasi mas maganda ang social services sa Ireland. So if I can transfer there, di ba? Maybe hoping I can still find my family, a family there. But if not, mas maganda ang buhay doon. Kaya mas maaalagaan ako doon kaysa nag-iisa ako dito. So that's an example of social migration. Diba? He is not looking for an employment or a particular career path, but he is looking somewhere for a better quality of life wherein he can be taken good care of in Ireland even if he is single, and of course to be closer to his family. Okay, that's the social factor of migration. Okay. Another one is political migration. O ito naman, moving to escape political persecution or war. Ayan, may mga ganyang cases din, di ba? Na mga umaalis ng bansa dahil persecuted sila sa bansa nila. So, sa ibang bansa na sila naninira. Maraming ganyan, ha? I do not want to give names of people, pero madami ang ganyan. At madami ang nagpapanggap. Meron din namang nagpapanggap ng ganyan. Okay? So basically, ito yung mga politika lang dahilan. Hindi pwedeng manirahan sa Pilipinas dahil sila ay pine-persecute dito. Actually, wala namang masyadong ganyang case sa Pilipinas. Sa ibang bansa, marami yan. Sa Africa, sa Central Asian countries, where human rights are not developed, diba? They leave their countries, especially those opponents of the existing regimes, no, in their particular country, they leave their countries to escape political persecution. And that's political factor in global migration. And of course, another important factor is the environmental cause of migration. This includes disasters such as floods, earthquakes, and etc. Aalis ka na sa lugar na yon. Bakit? Nagiba na ng lindol, natabunan na ng lindol, o natabunan na ng lahar. If you can still recall the lahar effect in the 1991 Mount Pinatubo eruption, di ba? There are many migrations from one place to another happens because of environmental issue. Maraming baryo ang nalibing sa lahar, di ba? Maraming lugar ang natabunan. So therefore, hindi na conducive tumira doon. Kaya lumipat na sila ng kanilang paninirahan. And that is the environmental cause of migration. Okay? So, what are the push factors? Ito yung nagtutulak. Diba? Other than the other factors of political, diba, economic, social, and environmental reason of your migration, there are also some push and pull factors of migration. When you talk about push, this is the reason why, diba? na itutulak ka. Why people leave their place of origin. Usually, more of those reasons that people are leaving their places because of a negative condition. Like for example, yan, lack of services. Ayoko na tumira dito. Wala akong kinabukasan dito. Lack of safety. Of course, I do not want to live in this place because it is very dangerous to live in this place. Lack of safety, of course, high crimes, di ba? Kadugtong yan. Crop failure, lalo na sa mga nagsasaka, ayoko nang tumira dito dahil wala naman mabubuhay dito, wala ako makakain dito. Yan, kasama na dyan ang drought, flooding, poverty, and want. These are the different factors that pushes you, diba? Pushes a group of people, diba, to leave their places of origin, diba, and look for other places where they can have their stable life. That's push. That's forcing you to live or pushing you to live. While the pull factor naman, di ba? Well, the pull factor are the reasons why you are attracted. Di ba? First, the reason why you are being pushed or forced to live. While the second factor naman is why you are attracted to go to leave your place and to go to a certain place because you are attracted to. Oh, what are those? Di ba? Yan, high employment opportunities, yan, maganda ang trabaho doon. More wealth, mas maganda sweldo, higher income, better services, good climate, o hindi mainit, gaya ng pinanggalingan mo dito, cool lang ang panahon, safer, less crime, political stability, more fertile land, and lower risk from natural hazards. So, these are the different factors that attracts you, di ba? To leave a certain place and to go to a better place. So, these are the push and pull factor. The push factor is, di ba, R, di ba? Paano ba ako babalik doon, di ba? Ito pala. So the push factors are the reasons why you are forced to leave. While the pull factor are the reasons why you are attracted to, di ba? Go there. I hope you got the difference, okay? So, any questions, class? Up to here? Kasi next na natin yung OFW, I guess in the interest of time, we will continue our discussion next Monday and Tuesday to follow. Okay? So, mag-stop share na ako para dito na tayo. So, hold your ano muna so I get a photo of our attendance for a while. If you can open your camera, okay, open nyo para mas makita ko kayo. Wala ako ng picture ha. First slide, 1, 2, 3. Then second slide. Okay. One, two, three. Okay, thank you very much for our class. So class, it's almost 11:52 na. Hindi ko na rin masyadong what you call that? Hindi rin masyadong papagurin kayo. Discussion natin, medyo almost 2 hours na tayo nagdi-discussion. Just to catch up to our lost time kahapon. So we will continue our discussion on Monday, no? On Monday para sa discussion natin about OFW, and on Tuesday we will discuss again our next quiz. Okay? Para makahabol tayo, mag-discuss ako ng bagong topic and I will discuss to you our next quiz about global migration. And hopefully next week, we can also talk about the progress, of your exit paper, what I mean progress, ibig ko sabihin saan na kayo at kung meron bang mga topic doon na nahihirapan kayo or having some problems writing it, so we can have a consultation during our class para mas malinawan paano ito isusulat. Kasi this will be our final exam na. Okay? So with that, no? So adjourn muna tayo sa ating discussion and we'll continue our discussion next week. Okay? Monday. Okay? Anything else, class? Hmm? O sige, so with that, sige, thank you very much for attending our class today. And I do hope everyone is fine, ha? At medyo wala namang nadisgrasya sa inyo nitong nakaraang dalawang bagyong dumaan. Okay? So, see you all again next week. Okay, class? Okay. Bye-bye, bye-bye. Ingat kayo, ha? Bye-bye, bye-bye. Sige, bye-bye na, bye-bye na. Sige, thank you everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. Sige, sige, bye-bye na.